So Margaret, want to come back to yourself. So earlier we talked a little bit about, the move to SaaS and the monthly recurring revenue model and the evolution of the channel ecosystem, if you like.
Mhm.
But all of those moving parts clearly impact how vendors design their programs and the types of activities or behaviors that, they now look to incentivize. So again, just like to get some of your insights on some of the incentives in the market and how best to match those with partners, basically, because so many different partner types, so many different levers. How do you pick the best fit?
Well, the best way to answer that is it depends, Kenneth, right? It depends on what your strategy is and what your end goal is, right? Just to go back to that strategy, and I think an important aspect to keep in mind is being flexible, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at your partner types, who your partners are, what type of business model they have, and maybe adjust incentives based on their business model as you're sort of migrating from a legacy business to a more SaaS or MRR type model. You also might want to look at doing different payouts based on the solutions that are being offered out in the channel, right? Net new business that your partners are bringing to the organization. Sunny mentioned it earlier, referrals and influencers, right? The earlier that they bring you into the conversation, there's opportunities to provide incentives there. And then renewals as the channel sort of migrates to an SaaS type model. You have to think about renewals and what sort of incentives you want to tie back to making sure that the renewals are with your products.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting one on the renewals, and kind of one I've seen a lot more movement in the last couple of years in particular, on both old and new product types, and it's probably an area that's easier to win revenue from than net new business, but yet a lot of it seems to get left behind. So, again, it's a point I'd make is, make sure that your partners have that renewal information in a constant feed into them, because they really do appreciate that. Partners aren't always great at keeping a good database of record of their own installed base, but you as the vendor are, and certainly in the world of SaaS, because it's software driven, you're going to have a key somewhere that says this end customer's number of seats or licenses or whatever it is up for renewal. Just I would say always incentivize on something like that, because we see renewal rates as low as below 40%, and with a bit of incentivization they can very quickly move up to 65, and with a bit more 85 after that, it always gets hard to close the last 15%. So Margaret, maybe just to dig a little bit deeper on that, because I know obviously you've done a lot of work in the area of distribution. How, just maybe any thoughts or anything you'd like to share on how, incentivizing tier 2 partners or disties directly, just, what's your experience of that whole space?
So in my previous roles working with our distribution partners, where we had funded head, we definitely leveraged incentives based on revenue goals, because they acted as a representative of your organization to help grow the business. So it was important to make sure that they were incentivized based on revenue. And sort of as we migrated a little bit towards as a solution, bringing partners that would fit that model as part of their role into our fold and incentivizing them on that as well as part of their KPIs helped to migrate the organization closer to where we were trying to go.
Okay, so you're saying there, as you moved up the stack, if you like, in terms of your actual solutions, you went actually and looked for different partner types.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important message for people that whole partner type, the partner ecosystem, is definitely changing. What would have worked maybe for say the traditional products doesn't always work in the new world, right? I think that's your key point, right?
Right, and not all legacy partners will want to make the investment and the move to an MRR model as well.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And what about distribution? How do they feel about all that, Margaret, from your experience?
Mixed feelings, Kenneth. They have mixed feelings.
Yeah. And any way, any way to incentivize the disties, how do you know any ideas or anything you've done in past life on that?
A lot of it was behavior based, right? Keeping the mind share of a distributor, especially of a distributor sales rep, can be a challenge because they're talking to so many different partners, talking about so many different solutions and so many different vendors. Just making sure that they knew what their incentives were and so that and what behaviors they would be rewarded for certainly helped to gain that mind share.
Okay. Okay. So that's literally having a funded head in the disty to make sure you're front and center.
It definitely helps,
Okay.
yes, because when
Okay.
you can't be there, they are representing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, kind of, it's very interesting because obviously distribution is still massive, and people kind of struggle with how to incentivize it. I see it done in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the bigger disties where you're competing against, maybe 20 different lines, right? How do you get top of the pile when a deal comes in from the tier 2 partner that you've less influence on? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, great stuff. So I think that's super helpful, Margaret. Thank you. And Brenda, I think we've one last poll, and I'll go into our last couple of topics before we move to the Q&A.
We do indeed. So this is your opportunity to vent with any frustrations you have when it comes to running incentive programs. So here we're asking, what's the most challenging aspect of managing your incentive programs? So would it be that they're time consuming and resource intensive? Are they difficult to accurately target the desired audience? Is there a lack of visibility of performance, an inability to measure the return on investment? And of course, if you don't have any incentive programs.